guy, the soon-to-be NFL Coach of the Year, and my black coffee brother, the great Mike McCarthy.
Good morning, Shan and RJ. My goodness, you guys must be a slow news day with that introduction.
What? It was. Did you watch last night's game?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I had it on. Didn't watch much of it. So
You didn't miss anything.
But yeah, would it end up 12-9?
12-9. Coach,
Yeah, 12.
why is scoring down this year? I think there's like a 5-point per game difference. Have you looked into that whatsoever? Do you have any theories, in this world of offense on why scoring is down this season about 5 weeks in?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like a lot of things, you have trends go on in the National Football League. I mean, if you go back and look at the pandemic year, just in weeks 1 through 4, the amount of games over is it 500 yards, compared to like in the maybe 50s, and then now it's like 14. So I think you got a couple things. I thought the pandemic year was you had a lot of different, training factors that were involved. So my point is that the teams in September, some were clearly way ahead of others, more so than I think I've ever experienced. And unfortunately, we were on the wrong side of that in 2020. But then you look at how the numbers have, kind of balanced out last year. And then I think really getting back to having a full off season, I think what defenses are doing on first and second down is really reflects, frankly, what has gone on the last 20 years on offense. They're giving you so many more different personnel groups and more variations. So I always refer to certain situations when you clearly understand where the defense is playing your upfield shoulder. You're able to get some free offense, easier plays that really don't exist, easier opportunities that don't exist as much in today's game. So I think there's a number of factors involved with it, but the numbers clearly speak for themselves. And I'm sure that's what you're referring to, right? Because the numbers from 2020 to 2022, just in September football, are really out of whack.
Yeah, and I noticed that, pass plays are at a 10-year low from efficiency, and I wonder, and you brought it up, it's like maybe defenses are doing something different, or our offense is shifting more towards a running game on early downs. I mean, is that going on too?
I think the biggest hole in this whole off-season program and the relationship, that goes on with the league and the union on trying to get the off-season training, get it right, is the fact of the matter is these offensive linemen are at a severe, not just a disadvantage, severe training disadvantage compared to the other positions in the game of football. The fact that they can't really even truly train in their, environment that they actually make a living at until the second week of training camp is, it's a factor. You can't deny it. I mean, the pass rush is ahead of the pass protection, which obviously equates clearly to the numbers that you've already presented. So that's where I see the biggest challenge in training. Getting your football team trained is the offensive linemen. There has to be a better way to give these men opportunities. And I'm really talking about your young players, which obviously makes up 80% of the league. But we got to find a way to get these guys, the offensive linemen, an opportunity for more training, in my opinion.
Coach, how about the rest of your guys in the preseason, kind of your first teamers not playing in games so much, or have those team scrimmages that everyone sets up, does that make up for that? Does that contribute to a slower start to the season with lack of first-team preseason action?
I think you make an excellent point in theory, but I disagree with it just based on the mathematics. And what I'm talking about, I think we've talked about this coming out of training camp. The fact of the matter is, the number of reps that the first group had against, other football teams. Now, granted, we did we practiced with 2 teams, so we were able to get 3 full 70, plus play practices. The one was 90 against another opponent. So actually, in my experience of being a head coach, our number ones actually had more competitive reps than they would in a normal or former preseason format where you played 3 games or 4 games. So that's the part I liked about it, because the quantity of work was significantly more, but it was in a safer, less risk environment of a practice structure. So, I mean, that's the reality of the mathematics, and I can see why people have always done it. You know, I will not do two teams again. I thought the travel, was a bit much for us, in hindsight. But there's definitely merit to go that way because, at the end of the day, you want to start the season as healthy as possible. And I think we all give up, the risk of health, and play to that over, trying to get more production or more competitive reps against an opponent in a preseason game or even in the competitive practice structure. So, so the numbers don't match the theory, but I clearly understand why you said, why you look at it that way.
Mike McCarthy joining us here, 105 through the Fan, brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee Company, official coffee of the Dallas Cowboys. Does it seem to you that the Thursday night football is bad football? Like, do you find that it's more difficult to put a really sound game together?
I mean, it's a challenge. I mean, sure weeks are challenges. I mean, Monday night on the road is probably the toughest, in my opinion, going into the short week because you got your waiter. It's a long preparation week going into it, and then you're waiting to be the last game, and then boom, you turn around and have to play a game. The Thursday games you do have. Obviously, Sunday to Thursday. We all know we have at least one a year. So, maybe I'm just used to it because there's definitely the light at the end of the tunnel moment because, when you do play on Thursday night, you do have a mini bye type, mindset for your football team. And I think that's very helpful, because so much of this is how you train your team, staying on top of the stress. And I'm talking about simple as, how much time are you spending on the plane, from one year to the next, because stress is additive. It all adds up, and it does factor, and you're naive to think it doesn't. So those are the things that I really look at. But Thursday night football is a challenge. I think it's clearly one of the challenges of flipping from a Sunday to a Thursday. But my experience, the Monday night on the road. I mean, Monday night in New York, it was a great win and everything, but you get back at 4:30. And I mean that's a hard week, and you're going from one division game to another. I mean that's all added pressure and that goes into the into the scheduling process.
I mean, boo hoo, Coach. Welcome to our life every day.
4:30.
4:30. Boo hoo.
No, I mean, hey, I get it. You guys are just, to do what you do as early as you do it.
Sitting on our ass.
Big time respect here.
Were you that surprised yesterday to hear that you were an underdog to the Rams in the press conference?
I mean, frankly, I probably shouldn't admit this, but it was a question I wasn't expecting. But I just never really given it any thought. So, but usually the only time I worry about getting questions that I don't expect is when I come on your show.
Right, there you go.
I'm usually a little more relaxed when I go into a press conference. But, no, yeah, I was surprised by it. I was surprised by the number, because for a minute there I thought we were favored by 5. That's the way I think of it. Right. Think of our team, but no, I frankly I've never really looked at it, and they obviously do a great job. And I love the analytics that go into it. I do respect the mathematics that the length of what people do to come up with that situation. But at the end of the day, I'm in it. I'm in the training of the team every day, and we're really focused on improving, which we have a lot of room for. And I think as we do that, we're confident to beat anybody on Sunday.
Do you believe in the idea of the Super Bowl hangover? I know it didn't really impact you guys in Green Bay. You went 15-1, but in general, is that a real thing, or is that more media fodder?
No, it's real. It's definitely real. And I think you go back to, I can only talk specific on my own personal experience, but I go back to the 2010 season. You win the Super Bowl, but if you recall, we went into a lockout. So a lot of the riding the wave, or the pressure and some of those things throughout the off season and even through training camp, really didn't exist. We didn't have to go through that because from the day the Super Bowl was won, I think the next time we saw each other was at the ring ceremony, and that was we had to get permission to do that, and then then finally when the lockout ended, we went to camp. So we were able to kind of just pick up where we left off in a sense, So I thought that was very helpful to us at that time. But I think when you do win, and just the whole, winning is the biggest challenge in this league. Handling success has always been the biggest challenge. And and I'm talking about at every level of success. You win 3 games in a row, and then all of a sudden, human nature is people want to, take their foot off the gas a little bit, and you can't do that. And now just the way things are in the off season, the marketing, all that goes into it. I mean, it's just another additive component of stress or energy, and tapping into your energy source that you have to deal with. So there's definitely some truth to it, in my opinion.
Mike McCarthy here every Friday with Shan and RJ on 105.3 The Fan. I'm asking this connected to Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald. Not asking you specifically what you're going to do, but your philosophy in going up against the great player, right? This is for all sports, Coach, particularly basketball. Do you let the great player get theirs and minimize everyone else, or do you eliminate them from the game and then count on everyone else beating you? How have you approached that throughout your career?
Well, it's all about projected risk. I mean, he's a great player that is so disruptive. So you have to, the reality is you're trying to take him out of the game, with the attention that you give him and so forth. But there's obviously situations. You can't really play it that close to the vest all day long because let's not forget what they have on the other side of the ball. They have an all pro quarterback, and they have an excellent offense too. So that goes into your thinking here. So, but I think the biggest thing is you try to give that player as much attention as you possibly can, and by doing that, you try to minimize his impact on the game. And Aaron Donald is obviously a very disruptive player, and it's definitely got our attention. And so that's really the reality of how you go about it.
What do you see from Cooper Kupp, in terms of his style, the way his career has gone? And do you remember anything about what you thought about Kupp or Donald coming out of college?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when you look at, Aaron's just, he has the skills of a elite pass rusher, as a defensive tackle. So he does have the ability to go out and play over a tackle at the end position and be extremely disruptive there. So just a super talented, physically gifted, and he just has the whole thing. For his quick and explosive and the discipline in his hand placement and usage, in the phone booth. He's a unique player. As far as Cooper, he just reminds me of a receiver that plays the position, from the quarterback platform. You could see the route running and the connection that he has with Matthew, and just how they're in sync, and they're really maximizing their opportunities to get him the ball too. There's you'd see by formation, and the fact of the matter is, he's so involved in the run game, in the run blocking, which opens up so many excellent opportunities in the action pass game. So you talk about a complete receiver. We're usually talking about guys that can beat, bump, and run, can also go vertical, make the big red zone catch, and all those things from a perimeter perspective. But the fact of the matter, this guy can do that, but he also is ingrained in the box, run blocking components that definitely give him an opportunity to be a huge weapon in the action pass game. So he is definitely a challenge to prepare for.
All right, Coach, 2 quick things before we let you go. We heard this locker room audio, and we wanted to get your version of what this meant. Hit it.
All right, hey, frankly, man, you just did exactly what you said you were going to do. Excellent, complimentary football, outstanding. Zach, what time is it? It's only 3:15!
Coach, why does 3:15 matter?
Well, you guys should respect that. How many days, you guys get up early, but you get to go home early too. But how many days in professional football are you done at 3:15? So it's a big deal.
Okay.
Especially with a win. A win and done at 3:15, that's a great day in this business.
Yeah, and it also gives you more time to shave. Why have you abandoned us? We are the bearded, unshaven men, and we feel like, at least I have black coffee with you, but you've abandoned us with the shaving.
Well, I mean, you always got November, so we'll see what happens. There's only one person that likes it when I don't shave, and that's my mother. So just trying to make mom happy.
Mike McCarthy, every Friday here on Shan and RJ. Coach, absolute gold as always. Thank you so much for the time, and let's keep that win streak going. Good luck on Sunday.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.